Hey, you're here. I'll catch up with you. Sorry, I'm just on my way out, but your workstation's at the back over there. It should be all set up on the network, but let the guys know if it isn't. From there, you can access all the data you need to help us direct development of the car. Get yourself settled, and then head out to practice when you're ready. I'll catch up with you later, okay?
Welcome to your new team. McLaren are one of the most successful teams in the sport, and they've reinvented themselves over the past few years. They demand excellence from all areas of their organization, and they'll expect you to integrate yourself and get up to speed from the first race.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to part 2 of our F1 2019 career mode. We have advanced to F1 after winning the F2 championship in the first episode of this series, just beating out our rival Devin Butler. And as you guys saw at the end of the first episode, we have chosen McLaren as our team, and we are teaming up with Lando Norris as we head to Australia.
Welcome to Melbourne and the inaugural event of the F1 2019 championship season. The session is starting shortly, and there's a real sense of anticipation in the air. A feeling that anything can happen this year, and if it does, well, this weekend could be the opening chapter to one of the most exciting F1 seasons ever. Joining me in the commentary box is, of course, Anthony Davidson, and it's great to have you back again. What can you tell us about this year's roster? There are some new faces this year, aren't there?
Absolutely, Crofty. There's been a number of interesting signings over the last few months. Where would you like to start?
Let's talk about Cook.
Right, well, this is definitely someone to keep an eye on. Well, they've been signed up likely in no small part due to the way they carried themselves in the Formula 2 Championship. They have a great track record of putting the team first. At one of the races, they even gave up their own position when their car had a technical issue, so that their teammate Lucas Weber, who also debuts here today, could get ahead. That kind of team spirit could take them a long way this season.
Those two aren't the only new faces from Formula 2 this season, are they?
No, this season will introduce fans to George Russell and Lando Norris, two very promising young British drivers. Plus, we'll meet Alexander Albon from Thailand, and finally, Devin Butler. Now, Devin was a bit of a controversial figure in Formula 2 last year. He racked up a lot of penalties over the course of the season, including one where he collided with his closest rival. It was an arsey clip. Now, certainly after the event, they were nothing but professional in terms of how they spoke about the incident with Devon, but it's hard to imagine them being as polite about it behind closed doors. I think this rival will be one to keep an eye on over the next few races, as both drivers take their first steps into the world of Formula 1.
It's an F2 invasion as we head to Australia. I believe it's 6 drivers from F2 being promoted to F1 this season, including both drivers at McLaren. I guess we've given Carlos Sainz the boot, and we're teaming up with Norris this season. Meanwhile, at Toro Rosso, that's where our former teammate from F2, Lucas Weber, is at. He's teaming up with Albon, so that's also a team that has a pair of rookies. George Russell, of course, on Williams, just how it's set up in real life. And Devin Butler is at Racing Point, aka the old Force India team. He's teaming up with Sergio Perez, so Lance Stroll got the boot there. Kvyat got the boot at Toro Rosso. What you guys are seeing right now is myself doing some of the practice programs here during F1, or what's it, Final Practice 1, they call it. Free practice, right? It's free, FP1, FP2, and FP3, but I believe it's free practice. Usually, I'm so used to NASCAR terms usually when I talk about racing, so I apologize if I mix any of those up in here while we're doing these F1 gameplays for, you know, the diehard F1 fans. As you see, we actually lose it near the end of FP3 here, and that's not exactly a good sign when we head towards qualifying. That was towards the end of the run. I was actually boxing in this lap, and the tires were kind of worn. I tried to push it through that sector, which, you know, that turn is probably the toughest turn or part of this Australia track, and I actually kind of was hoping I'd push the limits in practice, and if I crash, you know, I got it out the way in practice instead of in the race. The last thing you want to do is on old tires on lap 6 as you're in the middle of a run, crash out, so you know that would be really tough. So you actually see Lando Norris is P5 here, which is impressive, but you gotta check his tire compound. He was on the soft, so that definitely has something to do with it, but nonetheless, it seems like we have some healthy competition here at McLaren, and that's going to be definitely something to keep your eye on, because even though we want the best for our team in the constructors, we are in a quote-unquote rivalry with Norris here. So we got to keep an eye on Lando at all times throughout our season, keeping up with our progress, because he's, you know, a rival for us to help us, you know, boost our team and all that stuff, to get rep points, all that stuff. If you are familiar with the F1 career mode, you have an idea what I'm talking about. If not, you'll see it progress throughout. What we are watching right now is qualifying. We're just going to do one-shot qualifying in this career mode. I'm not going to do the first, second, and third sessions and all that. I just kind of want to get qualifying done out the way, see what our pace is looking like, and then we can head to the race. So I did switch the traction compound, or the traction setting to medium, like I said I do once we got to F1, so you guys can probably tell some of that, especially the throttle response. You can see we're not mashing the throttle every single time, which, you know, if we had full traction, I'd just mash that thing right away, but you kind of got to baby it, but not so much in qualifying though. You can just, you know, kind of float the thing around in qualifying. As you see, we are in P9 right now, about halfway through the lap. That's pretty good. You got to keep in mind that the top 6 positions are going to be the top 3 teams, Red Bull, Ferrari, and Mercedes. So what we are trying to do at McLaren is basically be the best of the rest at the end of the season. Our goal at the end of the season is to be, you know, 7th place in the Drivers' Championship, and, you know, maybe get McLaren 4th place in the Constructors. McLaren has pretty lofty goals for us, so it's going to be pretty hard to live up to them, to be honest. They want us to be front runners at some point, so I'm not sure we could be able to do that, but we're going to try as we come out the second to last corner. It's P9 right now, trying to get a good exit. Going to activate DRS, and we are set up for a pretty good spot on the grid. Unfortunately, we lose out on some straight line speed at the end. It's Devin Butler who's going to end up beating us for P9. We do get 10th place, and considering this is our Formula 1 debut, I would say 10th place is not that bad. And as we check the qualifying results, we have out-qualified our teammate Lando Norris by about, you know, I would say 2.5 tenths of a second, which is a pretty healthy dosage right there. So we definitely do have pace. I don't consider Australia one of my best tracks in the game, so considering, you know, we got 10th place, we're only behind both the Racing Points and one of the Haas drivers. That's pretty good considering, you know, our goals of being the best of the rest. So when I say that, obviously the top 3 teams is just way too fast for us. So, you know, we're going to be competing against Haas, competing against Racing Point, competing against Renault. As you guys see, our upgrade points being added on to ourselves. I'm going to try to, you know, activate an upgrade or two and see if we can actually get that going for the next race at Bahrain. But right now we have to focus on Australia, and it's time for race day.
New drivers, new cars, it's a new Formula 1 season. But it's the same Albert Park that we've come to know and love for more than 2 decades now that plays host to round 1 of a 21-race championship that takes us from here in Australia across the globe and the eventual season finale at the Yas Island circuit in Abu Dhabi. We're a stone's throw from the enormous Port Phillip Bay for today's race at the 3.3-mile Albert Park circuit. It's a bumpy racing surface here, and the 16 corners could prove especially difficult in the wet conditions. Watch out for a safety car at some point during the Grand Prix. Once again, Anthony Davidson joins me for the race today, and it's a race where anything can happen as the rain is falling, grip and visibility is lacking. Could be something of a lottery out there, Ant.
Well, that's right. There's always an added element of unpredictability when there's standing water on the circuit. But one thing that might help them with the grip is a new softer compound full wet and intermediate tyre that Pirelli have developed for certain circuits. We'll be seeing these new tyres for the first time today, yet another unknown on an already unpredictable day.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday puts him on pole, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Bottas, Max Verstappen, and Gasly, Perez, Magnussen, Butler, and Cook, Ricciardo, Grosjean, Lando Norris, and Raikkonen, Hülkenberg, Russell, Alexander Albon, and Lucas Faber. Giovinazzi and Robert Kubica takes the last spot on the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
We're in a better grip position than we were expecting. Let's see if we can hold on to it.
Well, that means we did good in qualifying. We are starting right next to our F2 rival, Devin Butler, as we are about to start our Formula 1 debut here in Australia. But that's not even the biggest news. The biggest news is that it is raining, at least for the start of this race. We are on the intermediate tires. It's lights out, and our Formula 1 career is underway in some pretty treacherous conditions. We're just going to take it easy going into the first corner, not going to try to make contact with anyone. The last thing you want to do is lose your wing. Hand up in the air, that means we made contact with someone. It looks like Grosjean there. Warning for Grosjean. Look at Ricciardo forcing this off the track. in the grass momentarily, back on, side by side with our teammate Norris, heading into the corner, gonna dive bomb, a double overtake, and quite the eventful start to this race. Gonna clear the Renault of Ricardo, slot into P10, which was where we started through all of that. We didn't get the best start right there. I kind of got caught with my pants down for a second there. I was just, you know, chilling, and I was not really prepared. I was trying to think about what would happen into the first corner, and next thing you know, it was lights out, and we didn't get the best of getaways, and whatever happened with us and Grosjean, it looked like we were 3 wide as we go to the inside of Magnussen. Even gonna take a peek at Butler. We're gonna force it in there. Another double overtake, and we have absolutely muscled Butler out the way. The stewards say fair play, fine by me, and we are now in 8th place, right behind Pierre Gasly in the Red Bull and Sergio Perez in the Racing Point. Now, the rain is good news for myself personally, as we get a great run on Gasly, a shocking exit from Gasly. Maybe we can do another double overtake. Can we get Perez? Okay, let's just get Gasly. We're barely going to get Pierre Gasly going into this corner. It's P7. We've gained 3 spots, even though we nearly lost 3 spots going into the first corner. Are we going to go inside of Perez? Maybe looking, and at the last second, we are going to back out of that move right there. That was just too tight of a corner to make the pass. I was only going to complete that pass if I had a nose ahead before, you know, it was time to accelerate, but I would have to absolutely knock him off the track and risk my own race to try to make that overtake. So it just doesn't make any sense, you know, after we just complete the first lap of this race. Trying to be very careful right now. The last thing, like I said, I want to do is knock a part of my wing out, just trying to overtake Sergio Perez. We can exhibit some patience right here, considering how well of a start we have to this race. Oh my! You can see, though, I really want to press ahead, get by Perez, because as I was about to allude to just now, I really feel like we have great pace in the wet. For whatever reason, when it comes to wet conditions in these Formula 1 games, I just seem to beat faster than the AI, and you know, especially considering the people we're battling right now, as we get a not so great exit off of that corner, and all that's because I'm trying to stay off of Sergio Perez. But I feel like once we get past Perez, we could really run away from the mid-pack. Maybe not, you know, catch the Mercedes and the Red Bulls and the Ferraris up ahead, but, you know, I definitely feel like we do have the pace. And you see, like, we constantly get to the back of Perez, gonna fake the move right there, but we're just kind of stuck behind the Racing Point right now, and hopefully we can get a good exit here down the straightaway. This is our best opportunity to pass. This Australia track does not have many great overtaking opportunities, so, you know, especially in the wet, you know, as we lock up the brakes going into the corner here, the last thing we'll do is just slide into the man. We are in 7th place, so we keep that in mind. It looks like we got a great exit off this corner. This should be our shot to try to overtake Perez. We're going to try to overshoot this corner and park it on the apex if we can. Nearly getting wheel-to-wheel contact, and we're going to slide ahead of Perez, trying to do a little crossover move right there, and that's not going to work. We have gotten P6, the best of the rest, and even with that, we're ahead of one of the Red Bulls and Gasly as we purpled the 2nd sector. I said we had pretty decent pace in the wet. That's not exactly what I was talking about. Purpling the 2nd sector is absolute madness. The difficulty, if you guys did not see part 1, is on 90 out of 100. I believe it's called the master difficulty, or it's 110, but either way, it's pretty high difficulty. So us purpling a sector in a McLaren is something that can only happen in the rain. That'll never happen in the dry. So, you know, I'll take that with a grain of salt, and we'll see what our pace is looking like as we get near the start-finish line. We're going to come out the final corner. If we purple the 3rd sector, then we might actually be in a position to win this race. But look at that. That's one of the Ferraris in the pits. That is Sebastian Vettel. We do not purple the 3rd sector, so I guess we do not have, you know, absolute flying pace. But nonetheless, we have great pace in the wet. That's definitely being displayed right now. As Devin Butler has actually made his way to P6. I believe a bunch of cars have pitted. DRS has been activated. Hold on, we're about to get something from the team here.
It's not a perfect situation, but I don't think we have cause to move on to a different tyre yet. Check your MFD for a new strategy option.
Alrighty, so it looks like the track is drying up, and some teams believe it's already drying up. As you see, we have a moment there coming out of that corner, getting a little bit sideways, and I could definitely feel these tires getting away from us, not exactly because of wear, but because the track conditions are drying up. As the track dries up, these intermediate tires will absolutely lose any grip that they have in them, which is not much in the first place, and it looks like we're being called down to pits right now. So even though it does look like it's still raining a little bit, I gotta trust my team and come down pit road. The last thing I want to do is second guess them, even though it's still raining, and then it dries up on the next track. So what I'm gonna do right now is focus on what the top 4 drivers are gonna do. If they all come down pit road, I'm 100% coming down to pit road with them. So it looks like we are going to be going on the super soft tires, which is kind of interesting because even though it's not 4 out of 15, I'm not sure the super softs will make it all the way. So we are gonna come down pit road. All the front runners are in. We're gonna bring our McLaren in as well from P5, and everybody is following suit. It looks like they're double stacking them.
Lando is coming in for a stop.
And then Lando's coming in as well, so we're going to be double stacking. Every team is double stacking that didn't pit on the lap before. Albon is out of the race. I'm not sure what's going on with Alexander Albon, but he is out. It's probably a mechanical failure unless he crashed. He stayed out on the track. I'm not sure. That's Albon up ahead right there that we are about to
Strategy
catch.
complete. See these tyres through to the end now. Safety car, safety car. No overtaking. Reduce your pace. Keep your delta number positive as we form up.
And it looks like Crofty called it. There is a safety car on lap 5 out of 15. The race percentage, by the way, is at 25% distance. And we have a safety car in our first race. Here I thought Australia would be a pretty calm race. Maybe we'll get a point or two, like hopefully finishing the points in our debut race. It starts off raining, which I'm feeling pretty good about myself. Then all of a sudden we got to come down pit road. The track's drying up, and that's a little bit questionable. Now we have a safety car on top of all of this, and I feel like this safety car might have actually saved our race, because as I was riding around under caution, like, I didn't really think about it until, or caution, safety car, that's that NASCAR F1 stuff that I said I would do a couple of times. So bear with me. It's lap 6 out of 15, and we are on the super sauce. And as I'm riding right now, I'm thinking these super softs might not make it to the end, even with the safety car. So the fact that the safety car came out probably saved us from doing a 2-stop. I would have switched to the mediums. Hold on.
Tyre condition seems a-okay to us on the wall here. Let us know if you feel them going off too much. No rain expected. No rain expected for the time being. Dries seem like the best tyre for now. Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound.
So as I was gonna say, if I was paying attention more instead of worrying about, you know, the track conditions, I would have switched our pit stop tire to the medium. So that would have actually been bad luck, because then the safety car would have came out and we would have been stuck on the mediums while everyone's on the super softs. But still, even with that and the team saying that we're good to go, I'm still not fully convinced that these super softs will make it all the way to the end. Our tires are going to be shot by the end of this one. We are back to green halfway through the Australian Grand Prix. The first race of the season has already been an exciting one. By virtue of pitting the lap before the safety car, Sebastian Vettel has found himself in the lead of the Grand Prix. Remember, Vettel started, I believe, P3 in this one behind his teammate Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. He's undercut them all as we're trying to hold off the Force India of Sergio Perez. We are in P5 right now. That safety car absolutely blessed us as we go on board with Kevin Magnussen, who's going slow. Magnussen is experiencing some sort of mechanical failure, and watch out! That's Kimi Räikkönen! Actually, no, that's I believe both of these Saubers are... They're not Saubers anymore, they're Alfa Romeos. They have both clipped the back of Magnussen. Not sure what's going on here. We're gonna go on board. Oh, watch out, that's Giovinazzi that has smashed the back of him, and he's lost a wheel. Giovinazzi is out of this race, and right behind him, I believe that is... that's gotta be the other Toro Rosso that smashed the back of him. That's Weber making his debut. So Giovinazzi is out of the race. Kevin Magnussen, I can only assume, is out of the race, or is still limping on. Yep, Kevin Magnussen is out of the race. This has been one heck of a first race of the season. Like I said, I thought I'd be chilling in the Australian Grand Prix, maybe finishing in like 9th or 10th place. We are in 5th. We are ahead of Gasly still, and we're actually ahead of Bottas. You see him right behind Perez, since Mercedes double stacked, which I tried to allude to before the safety car came out. That allowed us to overtake Bottas in the pits, and along with everything that happened with all the rain going on, we are maintaining P5 right now, halfway through the race. It looks like Perez is a little bit faster than us, so we'll deal with that when the time comes. And of course, whenever Bottas gets to us, we're gonna let him by. There's no use racing the top 3 teams, Red Bull, Mercedes, and Ferrari. Whenever one of those guys are behind us, unless it's Gasly, because Gasly is just not that good, let's keep it honest. Even his AI is shockingly slow. Like, I'm not sure where Gasly is at this point of the race, as The purple's being set all over the place. This is the first lap on dry tires. So Max Verstappen with the fastest lap. That's a little bit interesting. He's in 4th place right now. We'll see if he could do what he did in Austria in real life a couple of weeks ago, charging through the pack. Not sure that's going to be too possible. Like I said, it is pretty hard to overtake at this track. Meanwhile, for us, we're going to try to use the fact that it's hard to overtake at Australia to our advantage and try to hold out Perez as long as we can. We'll see how Bottas figures into that mix as we watch Sebastian Vettel is pitting from the lead. Vettel brings his Ferrari to pit road. Is it a mechanical thing, or is it what I was talking about earlier, actually biting Ferrari? The super soft, or the soft tires, now they're not super softs anymore, are not going to be able to make it to the rest of the race for Sebastian Vettel. So Vettel pits from the lead. Meanwhile, this Charles Leclerc, who momentarily has the lead, Lewis Hamilton is trying to take it right from him. Hamilton inside, Mercedes on top, Sebastian Vettel pits, and that actually hinders Leclerc's progress. Leclerc goes back to P2, and Verstappen is lurking in P3. We, by virtue of Sebastian Vettel pitting, are up to P4. Unbelievable. In our debut race at McLaren, this is something I would have never dreamed of. We are in the top 5 in this race. Like I said, whenever Bottas gets to us, because he will get to us unless Perez holds him up, which that would be a dream scenario, then we could potentially finish in this top 5 in this race, whether it's P4 or P5. As we go on board with Charles Leclerc, he's trying to DRS all over the back of Lewis Hamilton, getting the draft. Here comes Leclerc looking inside into the first turn. His Ferrari with a step, but here comes Hamilton fighting back. Now he's got the inside. They're side by side as Verstappen watches. Verstappen with DRS. He's looking to go to the outside of Hamilton. Leclerc safely in P1. Meanwhile, Hamilton under fire from Verstappen, who completes the move. Lewis Hamilton in that sequence goes from the lead to P3. The top 3 all within fighting range, all because of that safety car, along with Vettel, who kind of bottlenecked them up so they couldn't get away from each other until Vettel pitted. The top 3 teams all pretty even on track. Hard to tell who is the fastest. Meanwhile, here we are in P4 while all that scrapping was going on. Bottas has gotten by Sergio Perez. He moves up into P5. He will be on the back of us in no time. You guys will see how quickly this gap is about to close between us and Bottas. We did a pretty good job of keeping Perez out of DRS range, so he didn't do to us in the front straightaway what the top 2 did to Lewis Hamilton, but Bottas is going to be a different story. He's going to be right back on this. By the way, if you check the mini-map, that is Lando Norris. In his debut race, he's in the points as well. So the McLaren rookies are looking for a double result as Bottas with a full head of steam, but he doesn't quite have enough to make the move into the first turn. He's going to have to back out of it, and because he backed out of it, I don't think he's going to be able to make the move on us going into this corner as well. It's 4 laps to go in the Australian Grand Prix. We are still in P4. If anything happens to one of the leaders, we might be in position to get a podium, but at the same time, Bottas putting all the pressure on us, and at this point, I'm trying to find the safest spot to let Valtteri Bottas by us, because like I said, I don't want to fight a Mercedes, alright? Fighting a Mercedes will do us no good. I want to let him by cleanly so we can still maintain a gap on Sergio Perez and hopefully keep Perez out of DRS range from us. And I also don't want Perez getting DRS off of Bottas, so we'll see if Bottas can get some pace going on this straightaway. Of course, that Mercedes engine is going to be kicked up into high gear. Here comes Bottas. We gotta let go here. If I did not break up there, Bottas was going to 100% go side by side and crash the both of us out of the race. So I just had to let it go right there. 1, because I didn't want to fight Bottas, and 2, because that was a silly move he committed. That's not really a spot to be making a move, and he tried to do it, and he wasn't even going to be fully clear. So Valtteri, you do your thing. You go into P4. What I'm going to try to do is get some DRS off of Bottas here and try to use Bottas to pull away from Perez, because before Perez and Bottas were scrapping, Perez was tight on the back of us. So if we could use Bottas's DRS, hopefully that means we could get away from Perez, keep him away from DRS range from us, because right now he is 0.7 of a second away from us. You got to be under a second to get DRS, which we are from Bottas. Double DRS down the first 2 straights means we could close this gap way up. And there is one more DRS straightaway at this track coming up a little bit later, so we could stay within DRS range with Valtteri Bottas as long as we can, that would be fantastic. That's a strategy right now. You see we're in rich revs right now. I'm going to try to push for all it's worth. Borderline, like this is the most I pushed the car throughout the entire race. And you'll see, you know, the wheel's going to be twitching and stuff like that. We're going to be a little bit out of control. It's under 3 laps to go in the Australian Grand Prix, and if we can continue to use this DRS with Bottas, which I believe we will be getting DRS here down the next straight, we are under a second away, then hopefully that can give us the gap to pull away from Perez and lock up P5 in this race. As you see, we kind of bounced off the wall right there, but not enough to really damage anything. It's only a slight clip with the wheel, so we're all good. We are going to get DRS here, and if we can stay within a second of Bottas, we can get DRS down the first 2 straight on the track. Meanwhile, up front, the battle for the lead is still hot, and here comes Max Verstappen. He's firing at Charles LeClerc. This is just like the Austria Grand Prix. Here comes Verstappen looking for the lead. He's still keeping it inside of Leclerc. They're side by side. The DRS wing is open, but that Ferrari has so much pace that they're still side by side heading into the corner. Lewis Hamilton eagerly watches, hoping the 2 young studs make contact, but look at Leclerc still fighting. They're still side by side, wheel to wheel. Dirt kicking up from Verstappen. No one's giving up an inch. Here comes Leclerc. He's got the inside. Verstappen once again in the grass. Oh my goodness. Look at these 2 young guns going at it. Finally, Verstappen gives up and gives the lead back to Leclerc. Unbelievable side by side racing. How did they not crash? I don't know. The top 3 in this race nearly all got wiped out in that sequence because the 2 of them got together. Lewis Hamilton was so close. It would have been a miracle if he found his way through the Ferrari and the Red Bull just crashing into each other. So meanwhile, our calm race, we have lost DRS range from Bottas, so we will not be getting DRS down this straight. But if you check the gap, we're 2.4 up on Sergio Perez, so we are actually in pretty good position to get P5 in our debut race, which, like I said, I had no dreams of making this happen, alright? Like, our difficulty is at a point to where I am pretty even with the AI. On some tracks I'll be worse than them, some tracks I'll be better than them, especially my teammate Norris, but I said I never thought this would happen. So we're going to go on board with Lewis Hamilton as we hit the final lap of the Australian Grand Prix, because here comes Max Verstappen. He wants one more crack at Leclerc. Leclerc once again fighting to keep up side by side. Here comes Lewis Hamilton. Does he dare make the move? Oh, it looks like he will. 3 wide for the lead. Who's going to come out on top? It looks like Verstappen. Verstappen edges ahead. Meanwhile, Leclerc and Hamilton still scrapping behind. That's what Verstappen wants, what he needs to try to win this race. What a drive from Max, Mad Max, from 4th to 1st. Unbelievable. I thought he wouldn't be able to do it, but here we are watching Verstappen pull away. Meanwhile, Leclerc is going to pull the move on Lewis Hamilton. He didn't have DRS there. That was just straight bullying. You got to wonder if Hamilton has damage. Wow, is all you can say about that. So we're still chilling in P5, by the way. We've lost a second on the gap to Sergio Perez, but that's really just me trying to nurse these tires that are absolutely worn out. Just trying to make it to the finish in P5. Just try not to crash. I know this is a great finish for us, and an even better finish for Max Verstappen. He's gonna win the season opener. Coming down the final straightaway, Red Bull and Max Verstappen on top. Charles Leclerc for Ferrari in 2nd. Lewis Hamilton and Bottas 3rd and 4th for Mercedes. And a shocking P5 for McLaren. What a drive for Cook Boy.
Okay, good job, mate. Really well done. That was a fantastic drive.
A double result for McLaren as well. Let's check out these results.
So as they climb out of the car, the Red Bull team are ready and waiting to celebrate a thoroughly well-deserved win. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, the safety car completely changed the race, didn't it? It's hard to say exactly what would have happened without it, but there's no question that they came out of that situation in a good position.
That was an instant classic. In our very first race, we witnessed one of the greatest finish, if not the greatest finish, in Formula 1 history. They were 3 wide for the lead on the final lap. Unbelievable. I had no idea that was happening while I was actually racing, by the way. I didn't know all this happened until I went to replay mode. So we actually barely beat Vettel, who nearly got to the back of us. He actually beats Norris for P7. Butler finishes P9, Gasly P10 the Ferrari, but wow, what a race. What a race. As you check the director, we got collision with Grosjean the first lap, which wasn't really much. That was just absolute carnage trying to survive on that first corner. Let's go to the media.
Amazing performance out there. I'm sure you're pretty happy with that. You gained a lot of positions during the race, didn't you?
I would say we got pretty lucky, which is not an answer here, because that's truly what happened. We got pretty fortunate with the weather today, with it raining at the start, and then the safety car kind of helped us conserve our tires.
You're breaking all expectations. What's your secret?
Once again, the secret was getting lucky in the first race. Like I said, do not expect us to finish in the top 5 in many races early on while our car is still in development, because we're not that fast.
How do you feel the weather affected the outcome today?
The weather changed everything. I know my answer here. It certainly didn't dampen my spirits, because I felt pretty good.
It wasn't the cleanest race today, was it?
So I guess Claire's talking about the collision with Grosjean, because that's the only real contact or anything we had in this race. Otherwise, it was pretty clean.
Great. Well, that's everything.
All right, so wow, I don't know what else to say. Like, I don't think there will be another part in this series that'll be as long as this second episode, just because of all that happened in this race. But that was unbelievable, man. You gotta leave a like for that video if you watched it through, because that was, I cannot believe what I just watched. Leave a like in the video if you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe for more F1 2019 career mode. I'll try to catch my breath and process what happened, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Excellent result today. Finishes like that will look good on your contract reviews. On to the next one.